All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of A Desire to Inspire. I'm very excited about today's guest, Lisa Crisalle. She is an expert in the health and wellness industry, a fitness nutritionist expert. I'm so excited. This is the first time I've had a guest of this nature on this show. So Lisa, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm really thrilled that you're here with me. I know that you are the owner of Exercise and Nutrition Works and also a business coach to owners and entrepreneurs in the health and wellness fitness industry, and also a podcast host yourself called Fit Pro Industry Podcast.
Absolutely.
Before we get to all that fun stuff of what you're up to today, I always like for you or the guests to introduce themselves and kind of give us the journey that they've been on up to this point, who you are, where you come from, what have you been through, some of the successes and the challenges and all that good stuff so that we can really know who we're dealing with today.
Okay, that's a big question. Hey, I like being the first, so
yes,
go down this road.
Absolutely.
Cool. Wow. So here's what's really interesting is I've always had a passion and interest in the health and fitness industry. However, my first life, I actually was in the corporate world. I managed law firms for 20 years. I was a law firm administrator and marketing director, and I worked very closely with the American Bar Association and the Law Firm Administrator Associations, and I put on big events and worked with all of them. And I actually thought that was, that's how I sort of ended up. It wasn't my intent. So how we all sort of have this, everyone has kind of a crazy story. I went to college. My first degree was in exercise physiology with a minor in business. And my whole, I thought for sure that I was going to be working with professional sports teams. That's kind of the path I was going on. I wanted to work in, I loved athletics and sports my whole life. And I've always been an instructor, everything from swimming to aerobics, to martial arts, to skiing. I mean, you name it. I used to be a competitive martial arts fighter. So I've always sort of had one foot in there, but things didn't really work out the way I planned. And after I graduated from college, I was living in Portland, Oregon, where I grew up. Beautiful, beautiful city. But at the time, there was a huge recession, and there weren't jobs in the sporting industry, sports teams, et cetera. There just weren't anything to be had. So I ended up being a cocktail waitress and not making a whole lot of money doing it.
Right.
So I was working 3 jobs, and my brother was down in California, and he's like, come down to California. It's really awesome. So I make this big trek down to California, and, I end up, again, still cocktailing, but making a whole lot of money because at the time, California, anyway, it was crazy. So I end up through this whole travels and journey at a fabulous, beautiful restaurant down in Huntington Harbor, right on the harbor. And I kind of ran the place, and I was a bartender and doing the whole thing. And we got 5 days notice that our restaurant was closing. So all of a sudden I'm left again without a job. And I happened to be waiting tables that day, and I'm serving a table, and the people at the table just, I guess, loved me. And they were like, so have you ever thought about working in an office? I'm like, well, no, not really, but guess what? I'm open. So that started my journey working in law firms. And I started out as a receptionist. I ended up going to paralegal school. I became a paralegal, legal secretary, paralegal, worked my way up. I started adding in my marketing, and then went in and got my certification and sort of degrees as an administrator. So that started me down this path for 20 years of managing law firms. And I just really thought that was my sort of destiny at the time. And as I mentioned, I always had one foot in the health and fitness industry. So I joined this fabulous gym in Orange County. It was called the Sports Club Irvine. It was a division of Sports Club LA. Very, high-end club. I loved it. My friends were going there, and I was training and working, and things, how sometimes you make a decision and it sort of changes your whole life?
Absolutely.
That actually was the beginning of a big change, which was I got introduced to the registered dietitian at the Sports Club Irvine, and his name is Lucho. He's now my husband. And my friend and her husband, who were in great shape, were going to him and having phenomenal results. So me thinking, you know, I've got a degree in exercise physiology and I know what I'm doing and I'm a personal trainer and all that. You know, at first I didn't really think I needed it, but I'm like, I still wasn't getting the changes that I wanted. So they all kept saying, you got to go see Lucho. And I'm like, who's this Lucho dude? So I finally made the decision and I went in to go see him. Long story short, I basically had to fire him because he doesn't date his clients because we totally hit it off. And we have now been married in 10 days. It'll be 11 years.
This is a happy ending. I love it. I can, you know, the joy that you're exploiting through your expressions on your face right now are priceless. I can't even tell you how great it is to see your excitement levels right now.
Well, you know what's even more crazy is I've always been a very independent woman. And, you know, I was dating and stuff for years. And I always had this, I'm kind of going off topic here, but could really like hang out with a boyfriend or whatever guy for like 3 or 4 days max. And then when my husband and I started dating, like I could hang out with him all the time. And now, I mean, we've been working together for almost 15 years. Like wow. We live together, we work together, we built our business together. And it's crazy. And we, you know, 99.9% of the time we get along great.
In many ways, that's kind of like the perfect life, right? I mean, every man or every woman would wish that they could have enough time to spend with their significant other, their husband, their wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, and to be able to be around them enough and also be doing something that you love must make your world so much more awesome than, you know, somebody who's got a job that keeps them away for hours at a day or it's difficult that way. And
we build our goals and our dreams and our visions together.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's what's really cool. And I know we'll be talking more about that. So that's really where I was heading, is that we both had a very entrepreneurial spirit that really came out. And now we get to build that and live that every single day.
I love it. What made you want to get into this area of fitness or health and wellness?
So the way it ended up transpiring is my husband's a registered dietitian. He developed custom nutrition software about 15 years ago because of the work that he was doing and working with the clients. And he really, again, there's a lot of philosophies and theories out there, but that's based on science and designed for the individual. So he developed the software. And then as we got together, he really wanted to go out on his own. So he ended up leaving the Sports Club Irvine and went into a partnership with another gentleman. And I kind of came in on the back end. I was managing his office, managing the books and doing all that stuff sort of after hours, and kind of keeping everything kind of going on the backside because, he was starting up this new business. He then created, through this process, our program called the Certified Fitness Nutrition Specialist. So it's actually a training. It's an online course that we've been doing for 13 years. It's a CEU accredited course, and it's basically a business in a box. And so then I came in with my marketing background and said, well, we've got some really cool stuff here. Let's, really bring this out at a different level. And initially when we started offering the course, we were kind of doing it, small bits here and there. And we, as I mentioned, we were living in Orange County, and we became very good friends with the CEO of Gold's Gym. He just so happened I was training with his wife. And so we really established a great relationship with them. And the one piece that Gold's Gym was missing in all of their hundreds and hundreds of clubs worldwide, they had nothing on nutrition. And they were really, really interested in it. So they brought us on board, and we ended up creating a 5-year contract with them to roll out our nutrition certification throughout the entire Gold's Gym process. What's really interesting here is, as a small business, when that kind of a deal kind of comes up, right, you think, oh my gosh, like this is really awesome, this is amazing. And it actually opened the door for other big corporate contracts to come in. We worked with Max Muscle stores or nutrition supplementation stores. We started working with other gym centers that they weren't on the West Coast, but more in the Midwest. So they had a bunch of different gyms. And initially you think this is fantastic, but things are not always as they initially appear.
Right.
And so what happened in the big corporate situation is sort of they got all the money and the glory, and we got like we were doing all of the work behind the scenes, and it was really tough on us. It was tough on our business, and it was tough on us. And so we realized that going the corporate route really wasn't in alignment, because we were a small business. We really felt that we had not only the passion, but the experience and the background to work with other small to medium-sized businesses. And again, it's going through this learning process that, as any business owner, right, you kind of think like, wow, this big contract's awesome, and it's not always what it turns out to be. So it helped us really find our passion, because as we started working with other gym owners and nutrition store owners and more of the small to mid-sized businesses, that's where we found that we could have the greatest impact, and then really help those businesses impact and change lives with their clients.
Right. I love it. You just said the word passion. How did you discover that this was where you were supposed to be? And I know you talked about kind of going through the learning curve, but at what point was it when you said, okay, this is the passion, this is the love, this is where I need to be, and this is what we should be doing?
That's a really good question, because a lot of it just happened, right? Like the doors opened like organically. So it was a combination of our experience and our education and our training, of sort of this combination, and the opportunities that continue to open up for us, one opportunity after the next. And because we work together, like I was sharing the epiphany that we had about, the Gold's Gym contract and the big contracts that we had, that is really what helped shape our passion. That going through those trials and tribulations helped us understand that wasn't the piece, that wasn't the part where that we enjoyed. It became like this, it literally was like this crush of weight on our shoulders is what it turned out to be. But then when we started working with the small to medium-sized businesses, where we saw that it had an impact, and where like we had nutrition stores coming to us by implementing our program, and we teach a system. All of a sudden now we taught them a way to have a stream of income, a stream of clients coming through the door. They want traffic, right? Well, our program creates that. And so they're calling us up going like, we thought we were going to close our doors this month. Like they literally didn't think that they were going to be able to pay their bills. And when we taught them the process and we taught them how to add this in, just by increasing that traffic, it changed their business. That's where the passion comes from, is where you see it affecting not only the business owners, but then also their clients, because of course their clients are getting results. We know that our program gets results. It's turned into our mission of helping these other businesses.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that in this discovery of passion and purpose, that we are given signs by the universe, right? We're going on this journey, and then on the path, there are certain things that are thrown at us. And as long as we're open and receptive to them, then we embrace them, and it guides us. It's like a guiding light. And we have to trust our inner guidance, our inner wisdom, our highest self to keep us on that same path, because the good is on the other side. It's right there waiting for us.
Absolutely. And it's through making mistakes, by the way. It's not about avoiding mistakes. You learn, as long as you learn from your mistakes, we study, the process, and that's how we learn, like what guided us here. So totally. Mistakes are a part of the process. And yeah.
As you know, as any other successful entrepreneur will know, as anybody who's been through the ringer, it's part of the process. Totally. Okay. So why is nutrition so important?
This is a really pertinent question, by the way, today, and I'm going to kind of get a little deep here.
Please.
So yesterday, we lost a dear friend of ours to cancer, and it was a real shock for us, but it was something that he had been fighting. He was a warrior, and he'd been fighting for several years. And we called him the bucket list man. He actually literally, when he was first diagnosed, his life purpose changed to become this bucket list. So your question is very pertinent to me, because we understand that nutrition is the fuel for our bodies. And as we educate people now, we also realize our role here is, we could work one-on-one and educate you or the next person, but it's hard to affect change on a one-to-one basis. And so where we realized and saw our purpose in this is that we could create a program and a system that we affect many, right? So we educate and teach a system that we know is proven, and there's lots of stuff out there. I mean, there's so much to learn. This is based on science, but it also allows people to incorporate their own philosophies. Okay, so philosophies meaning like a paleo diet or a keto diet or whatever. It's not our job and our responsibility to say, this is right and this is wrong. We learned that a long time ago. We know based on science how the body responds to what I call macronutrients, the things that we put into our body, but it's how you combine them and how you put them in, and there's all these different philosophies. So instead of fighting against different philosophies, it's saying let's educate and understand what's right for you, because what's right for you is not right for me, right? 190-pound guy or a 250-pound guy is not going to get the same thing as a 120-pound female, right? It's like we have different requirements. Our activity levels are different. There's all these things in there that go into it. And our program teaches how to create custom programs, right? Based on the individual. But we know that we can't do that one-on-one. We can't affect change at that level. So what we set out to do was literally to create an army of educated people who can utilize this based on science and apply their philosophies and affect change with the end users, the consumers, right? The people who need to learn, well, I think they need to learn, but who will benefit from learning about what food does to their body and can do for their body. So things like, and again, I don't want to get real controversial here, but things like cancer and diabetes and obesity, these things can all literally be changed by diet. Okay. And I'm not going to go into a deep philosophy. I had a really deep conversation yesterday about the cancer industry and all of that. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe to be a doctor. What I encourage people to do is to get information and understand that they have a choice. And I'm going to give you this analogy. It's like a car. So if you had a Ferrari, would you put regular gas in a Ferrari?
Never.
No, never, ever, right? It will sputter and it won't work, right? It won't run properly. Our bodies are the same way, because what we put into our bodies has a direct effect and a direct correlation to how our bodies respond. So things like arthritis, inflammation, those are all responses to what's going on in our bodies. And that's a response to preservatives in the foods that we eat and what foods we put in, fast food and, fat and grease and, all these things, right? I'm not going to go real deep on that, but what you put in is how what your body it does what it can do best with what you put in it. So when you put in things that we call not clean, so when you put in things that are, preservatives, lots of preservatives or lots of, bad fats versus good fats, right? You put things like that, it gunks it up. Just like if you think of it like a Ferrari, it will gunk it up and it will not work properly. And then what happens is your body responds by different quote unquote ailments or issues. And it's different for everyone. It could be eczema. It could be, it could be cancer. It could be diabetes. It could be obesity, right? That's a response to what we're putting in. So again, I mean, this is an hour long. I mean, this is a huge conversation here.
I understand. I get it. Yeah. Listen, I don't think that very many people take very good care of their health, their bodies, their eating, but it always comes down to some other underlying problem, at least in the work that I've done. That's what I found.
Yes.
Why are people eating so much? Why do they not take control of their bodies? Probably because they had some sort of childhood trauma or issue. They don't feel good enough, loved enough, worth it. In any case, but how do you deal with that in evaluating a client? What's the framework that you work with so that you can get somebody on the right track to taking control of their health?
That is, first of all, a fabulous question. And you hit it really right on the head. Just so happens, my husband is a master NLP practitioner and a master of what's called hemispheric integration. I'm an NLP practitioner. And so for those of you who don't know what NLP is, it's called neuro-linguistic programming. And it's basically languaging skills, how individuals communicate, right? It's our communication skills. It's our patterns. And for example, Tony Robbins is probably the most well-known person who utilizes NLP in his teachings and his training, right? And so when you understand a person's communication processes, so I'll give you an example. Do you work from necessity or opportunity? Okay, this is an example. This is a modality. Meaning, like if someone, here's a great example. If my husband works out of opportunity, not necessity. If I tell my husband he needs to do something, he'll tell me to F off. Like, right?
That's true.
Like, right?
Right. I've been there.
Right? Like, don't tell me I need to do anything. Like, I know that about him. I never tell him he needs to do anything. But when I say, hon, we've got this great opportunity to go to this event tonight, right? Totally different response. So, again, everyone has, and so what we do is we also teach in our programs. This is a key piece of our program. We call this Sales with Integrity, and it's really NLP. We teach you how to communicate with your potential client, your prospect, and or your client, and so that when you are working with them about what their underlying issues are, you're speaking with them in a manner that they immediately connect with, right? So that our clients go, wow, like you totally understand me, right? Well, the reason why we totally understand them is because when we have our initial conversations with them, we can tell very, very quickly how do they operate? What is their operating systems? And then we communicate with them in their operating system. So instead of me speaking Greek to you, it would be Greek, right? Although I don't know what your background is, but again, so in order for us to communicate properly, it's in English, not me talking to you in Greek.
In that communication that you're having, are you susceptible to vulnerability and humility in this conversation so that people can trust you and believe in what you're trying to teach, as far as wanting to influence them so that they can make that transformational change?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and the key is it is influence, but it's, again, what we say is with integrity, meaning we don't want to influence somebody to do something just because, we want to make money, right? It's about why is this serving them? Why will this serve them? Why is this the best choice for them? Okay, so yes, we have to, and again, if it's not the right fit for us, we've also learned over the years, you don't want to force a round peg into a square hole, right? You don't want to do that because it'll come back to bite you. Again, we want the best clients, right? We want the clients that we want to work with. I don't want every client. I don't. If it's not a good fit, and that's part of what this languaging skills help us figure out as well, if it's a good fit. Is this person somebody who's going to follow the guidance, right? Are they ready to make a change? Are they going to follow the guidance? Are they going to be a complainer? Like, I want someone who wants to make a change in their life, who wants to feel healthy, who wants to feel good again, who wants to have energy, right? Who wants to play with their kids, who wants to be at their daughter's wedding, right? Like they're ready, like they're finally ready to make the changes. So this is what helps us do that. And we get to choose what clients we get to work with.
Right. It's a great point, because if somebody's not ready for it, they're just not going to be effective in anything. They're not going to want to do anything. So how do you identify that? Is it through that work? Is that what you're talking about? Or is there another method that you have that you can say?
No, it's through the work. I mean, it's basically, if they're coming to us, we will ask them, obviously what is it, what is it that brought you to us today, right? That's the first question. Now, here's also a key factor. If somebody else is bringing them in, so here's another piece that happens a lot. Now remember, we don't see clients anymore, but when we did, because we work with the business owners now, but when we did, we would have a lot of time parents would bring in their children and say, well, my daughter's going out for gymnastics, but she needs to lose some weight and she needs to, right? Like that kind of thing. There's two pieces here. The child needs to want to do this, first of all. But secondly, we will not put any child on the program unless the parent is willing to do that with them. Because the parent is the one buying the food and doing the grocery shopping.
Right.
And if the parent is not willing to make changes, lifestyle changes, and be clear on what clean food is and what should be in the house and what's going to fuel their bodies properly and give them more energy and help them perform better for the child as well as the adult, then we say, forget it. If you're not willing to do this with your child or as a family, then we just won't work with you. And we work with a lot of athletes and, where the parents are trying to bring them in, and it's a requirement because they're the ones buying the food.
Right. And like you said, every case is different. Every case is different. Yeah. I like how you get involved at the core level, because without that understanding, then it's very hard to get people to want to make a difference or change. And that's something that we've, I think as a coach, you learn, right? It's how do I help this person the best way that I can and get them to take action, right? That's like mastering the art of influence.
One of the cool things working with kids, though, this is really great. So if anyone's listening and you do work with kids, what's great with them is they're amazing learners. They love to learn. And so when you really teach them about food and what clean food and what it does for them, they actually tend to be a better influence on the parents' buying and purchasing decisions. It's really cool. So if you work with kids, that's a really great piece. But again, we will only work with kids if the parents are willing and ready to do it all together.
Let me ask you this question. Why do you think people struggle so much with this area of their life? Like, what is holding them up? What's the blockage there that's...
Well, there's a lot of things. That's a really big question. You actually had mentioned earlier, many times it's usually an underlying issue. So it could be something that happened to them, as a child. It could have been, issues with food as a kid. This is what's really crazy. I was a really picky eater when I was a little girl. Like, I was really picky. I would hardly eat anything. And then it became like this big issue at the dinner table, and my dad didn't like it. And it was this, so the more he tried to like make me eat the food, the more I didn't want to eat it because I'm really stubborn. So it became like this thing, right? And what was crazy is later on when I went out on my own, because I'm just like this little independent, then it was like, well, I'm just going to eat whatever I want, right? So then I had issues that I had to address as an adult. So again, it's usually an underlying issue. It has something to do with either the way they were brought up, maybe they were a chubby kid, or maybe they were really skinny, they got teased. I mean, there's all these different things that could be contributing factors, right? So can you tell me the question? I kind of went off on a tangent.
No. I was saying, what is the thing that kind of prevents people from succeeding in this area of life?
So it's a combination of that, and it's learning how to overcome that. So one of the things, here's a great example. Something that we've seen often is people equate love with food. This is very common in a lot of families, right? Like families gather together and they have big dinners and big meals, or they go with their grandparents, and it's always like they're getting all the treats and all things. So they connect food with love, right? So this is really a big anchor that we call that many times has to be unhooked, that we work with, because food has nothing to do with love. It just happens that when you got together with your grandmother, she was always giving you your favorite food, so you just equate that favorite food with your grandmother. But when you learn how to have a choice over that food, so people will be like, oh my God, I get around donuts and forget it. Like I can't, like game over, right? It's all done. Because there was something about donuts or whatever the food is that they equated to love or respect or something, whatever that issue was. Well, when you can disconnect that and they learn that they now have a choice and I can decide if I want that donut, just because there's a donut in front of me doesn't mean I have to eat it, right? So, but when I can disconnect and say, oh, you know what? I've been really clean this week. I've been eating super good. If I have, one donut or half a donut, I get my fill and I'm good, and we can move on. That's one component. Now, the other component is we live in a society that is surrounded by food and not such great choices all the time. And so what happens, and one of the things that we see a lot, is that people think fast food is easier, and fast food is not easier. Fast food, it's like you can spend $5 now, but you're going to spend $5,000 years from now, in the hospital or with doctors or with pills or whatever, right? So it's about disconnecting and understanding that fast food is not an easier option when you properly plan. So it's really just learning how to have those skills. It's a new skill set. So again, it's a skill set. We teach you. How is it, like we do our major grocery shopping once a week. We get all of the good choices. We cut all of the clean foods. We buy all of the stuff that we want. We like Sundays is our big family day to cook and prep and do all that, right? So we'll buy, cook up a big batch of chicken, that I like flavor, right? So flavor is really important. This isn't about being bland or boring, using spices and herbs and different things, right? So we cook up a huge batch of chicken. I love, more than anything, my husband and I both love roasted vegetables, right? Because there's just so much flavor to it. And, whatever is in season. So we roast things, or we'll cook up, big batches of things, or I'll make a huge salad that will last. So then we cook everything up, and then we measure everything out and literally put them in baggies. And it's this whole thing. We just cut it up, throw it in the thing, measure it, boom, pop it in baggies. Half of it goes into the freezer. The other half goes into the fridge. And now we have really easy things to grab and go. Right, I can grab my 4 ounces of chicken and my little bag of rice and a bunch of vegetables, or I can put it all together in one little container and I grab and go. Right, so I always have good choices, and it ends up coming out to be much less expensive when you plan this way. So your family's going to save money, not only on food but on health costs and future health costs. Right, because now you're putting good, clean food into your system.
Yeah, sometimes I think that people just don't have the education, truthfully. And I know from my own personal experience, I was one of them. I always did the easy thing. I've got the eat out bad habit, quick on the go. And, I feel like they make it that way for you, right? They design things because they know people buy into it. And that's sad because it really does affect your long-term health. And the more that you take control of not only just your nutrition and your body, because I'm a big fan of, the mind-body connection and pure alignment. Huge. It's so big. But I have something that you just said, and I want to bring the attention back to that about disconnecting. So somebody's listening and they're trying to figure out, well, how do I disconnect from making those impulse choices and deciding not to go get fast food, but I'm so used to doing it. Like, how do I do that? How do I take myself from doing it to not doing it? What's that strategy?
Well, there's actually several strategies on this. One is to prepare as much as possible. That's what I mentioned. So number one is to prepare as much as possible. There's never 100%. The other thing I do is I keep certain, like if I know I'm going to be out all day, I literally I'll take food with me. I'll take either snacks, prepackaged snacks, or food with me so that I'm not starving. And as a last resort, there is a way to order again, if the only option you have is, you're out, and we've had this happen, you're traveling or you're out with a group of people, and they're all go to one restaurant. It's about learning how to order the cleanest food possible. And not, some people have been like, I don't want to do that. I want to eat what I want to eat. Well, the other piece to this is we have something called the 80-20 rule. So if 80% of the time you eat really, really clean, then 20% of the time, you know what? This isn't about restricting yourself. This is about living a life and being able to live a really good, vibrant, healthy life. And what will happen is the more you start eating clean, the better you're going to feel. And you're just going to feel so good that when you go out and you eat really crappy stuff and you're going to feel horrible. You're going to have an upset stomach. And this is what we do. When we start with a client, we say, we want you to eat 14 days. Just follow the plan. Follow the plan as like to the T. And by the way, our plan, you're eating a lot of food. You're eating a lot, but it's clean food. So you're eating really good stuff. Your body's detoxing and releasing a lot of that. You start having more energy. And then on the 15th day, we want you to go out and eat whatever you want.
Cheat day.
Whatever, right? And so what happens is they'll eat like something fried, or they'll drink, or they'll do whatever, right? And then the next day they feel horrible. And then they go, well, I never want to do that again.
Right.
And it's now their choice, right? Because when you feel good, you want to continue to feel good. And this is the same with food or with alcohol, right? Because once you start getting clean and feeling good and having that energy, it feels so good to feel good that you don't want to feel crappy again.
Right. I love that way you just said that. It feels so good to feel good.
It's so good to feel good.
First time I've heard that before. Good. I might have to write that one down.
That's my favorite one. I feel so good today. It feels good to feel good. Yeah.
I can see it. Your energy is electrifying. It's perfect. So it's safe to say that you guys don't focus on necessarily exercising and working out. This is more food-based, taking care of your body. What's going inside, correct?
Correct. So we both have a background in fitness. I was a personal trainer. And as I said, I'm an instructor for a million different things. I still teach spin and all that. So I still, we're involved in fitness, and fitness is a piece of it, but our business is based on the nutrition, because we always say that a great body is actually built in the kitchen, not in the gym. The gym is the piece that will help you, right? Like that's an important component, but you can have someone who goes to the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week, but they go out and they eat fast food and they eat junk and they do all that. They're still like, they're always fighting it in the gym, and you can't build that in the gym. What you can do, you get healthy in the kitchen, you build muscle or fitness in the gym, but they work together. But 80% is your nutrition, because your nutrition has an effect both on your, not only the quality of life, like your fitness levels, but also, again, remember we talked in the very, very beginning here, things like cancer, arthritis, eczema, all of those, again, obesity, I mean, you name it, anything that ends in itis is inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, if you're listening, understand that these things can be mostly corrected with proper nutrition. Really.
I agree. It's the first thing that we forget to take care of.
I'd rather spend my money on really good, clean food than spend my money on pills and drugs and going to the doctor and all that. I'm 54 years old. I don't take a single pill, not one, nothing. I take nothing.
You're going like a rocket. Strong as ever. So what are a few action steps that some people can take to really rejuvenate themselves and feel better and about themselves, coming from the nutrition side of their life?
Well, I would say, first of all, is start educating yourself. Really start educating yourself. There's so many resources out there. There are. I mean, we have Google now, right? And understand, there's a lot of things out there. There's a gazillion marketing ploys, and, take this pill and you're going to lose 10 pounds tomorrow, or drink this drink and whatever, right? So it's important that you do your research and learn, like educate yourself. The simplest thing to do is understand to keep if you can get your nutrition as clean as possible. And when I say clean, I mean if it grows from the ground, if it's in its original source, and it's not listed on a box with a bunch of names that you can't pronounce. If you see anything, now there are things that come in a box that are all super clean and they're just packaged in a way that you can use them better. But if there's anything on that label that you cannot pronounce, it's probably not a good choice, right? Because that's a chemical.
Right.
So it's about having things in as close to its original source as possible. And here's a really quick tip. When you go to the grocery store, stay to the outside aisles. Think about it. All the outside aisles is the vegetable department, the meat department. By the way, we are meat eaters. We believe in animal proteins, and a lot of people don't, and that's your choice. You maintain and can continue to build lean muscle with animal proteins. The body's has a different process for breaking down animal proteins. So plant proteins. Sorry about that. So personally, and again, everyone has their own philosophy, but when you stick to the outside perimeter on a grocery store, you're going to get the cleanest, you're going to get products that are the best choices, right? And then
brilliant. It's so brilliant. Like you don't even think about that until you say it. And I immediately my mind went to what do the outside aisles look like? And I thought, green, veggies, produce. Yeah, literally, that's what the
fish department.
Correct. Yeah, all on the perimeter. Yep, totally.
Cheese, things like that, right? So, and I love cheese, but I have to limit my cheese.
I love it. So, what's next for you? I'm sorry. Did you have something? Keep going, please. If you're still going.
I was just gonna say
going.
The inside aisles are like, the cereal, the processed foods, the packaged foods.
Right.
You can get, again, even if soups, but again, you can learn how to make homemade soup and package it and have it at home. And so anyway, sorry, I can go on.
No, I get it. Listen, that's your love. You're passionate about it. Yeah, I wish we had the whole day. We could spend the whole day talking about it. I'd take away a lot of stuff, clean the refrigerator out. Believe it or not, when I went through my own personal transformation, I did do like a huge nutrition dump of the old behaviors and got rid of all that crap and brought it. And you're right, it makes you feel so much better. You have so much more energy, and life just gets really good.
It cleans your head. And here's one thing I want to say. I'm not perfect. Lucho and I are not perfect. Okay. Like, we have a real life. Like, my husband's from Argentina. Guess what? That means we like red wine. Okay. So, we enjoy a really good red wine. We enjoy having a dessert every once in a while. We tend to do, small amounts of dark chocolate. Dark chocolate have healthier benefits for you, right? I don't need a lot. I'm not and we're not perfect. I mean, we have times when we go out and, like I said, if I kind of stick to what I call a 90-10 rule. 90% of the time I'm really clean, and 10% I want to enjoy my life, right? Like, it's okay if I'm bad one day. That's okay, but it's when you do it every day. Yeah. Right. Or then one day turns into 3 days, turns into 4 days. Right. But so I choose when I want to do that. I plan my life because I'd rather feel good. I want to be able to, have this passion and share this and feel really good every day. I don't go to the doctor. I just don't. And I don't have to worry about paying doctor bills and paying for pills and drugs and all those things that they get you on. And every pill has a side effect. Every drug has a side effect. Every single drug. So it's about learning how to clean that up and how you can reduce it. And again, there is a time and a place for Western medicine. Okay, there is. And we actually have the ability to reduce much of this that's out there. That's all. And
a great point. Everything's in our control. And you're right. It's simple, often overlooked because it's not easy, right? It takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more work. And if that's the case, it takes me away from my other leisure activities. I can't go out and have a drink with Susie, or I can't watch my favorite TV show if I'm preparing a meal. It's like cutting time out. But at the end of the day, do you want to live longer, healthier, more fulfilled and feel you, or do you want to, be the couch potato that's got some ailments and has arthritis?
Absolutely. And it's going to the doctor all the time and spending all their money on that anyway.
So what's the next step in your life and your journey with this nutrition stuff? You've got a lot going on, as we've talked about.
We do.
So update us on the next big move.
Cool. So we have some really cool things in the works. So there's a couple things. We have a nutrition certification program. We've been doing this for 13 years. That's a home study program that happens organically all the time. We do a live event twice a year here in Las Vegas where we bring in the business owners. They come in and they work with us for 3 days on their business and teaching them the systems and all of the pieces to create their lifestyle. It's really creating a lifestyle business. We love that. That's like we do this twice a year. We do it in December and June. So our next one's coming up in December. It's a blast. We have a really cool thing planned we actually have kind of a Vegas show happening Saturday night of the event. Okay. We have lots of fun. We have lots of surprises. We have a celebrity guest speakers. It's not a pitch-a-thon. It's not about selling. This is all education. So if somebody's interested in that, fantastic. This is the place to do it because we have the certification is included, our nutrition software is included, and the 3 days with us along with all kinds of other stuff and goodies and swag. We got lots of swag. I love the swag. I love it. And after that, my husband and I actually have some really cool plans. We're hoping this next year, 2017, we're working the plans on it. So our plan is that we are going to buy an RV and we are going to travel the country, and we're going to because we can do our business virtually. We work virtually, but we have clients and customers all over the place. So we have a really big following of what we call CFNS, Certified Fitness Nutrition Specialists, who've been wanting us to come to the East Coast. We have a big following in Virginia. We have a big following in Texas. We have people all over the place. And I love adventure. And one of the things that's always challenging me is I tend to work behind the computer a lot. I'm a total computer geek on top of this. So I figured, why not have my computer wherever I want it to be, like wherever we decide to be that week or that month or 2 months or whatever, we can just go to different parts of the country. I want to go to Colorado. I want to go to South Carolina. I want to go to Virginia. I want to go, to Maine. Like wherever we decide to be, we can be. And we can explore those parts of the country and do our business and work with people and help change lives as we kind of do this road trip thing. So we're hoping that's going to, we'll be back here still twice a year. But we're hoping, that we're looking at probably 2 years out on the road, just like getting out there with everybody and it's going to be cool.
My dad was talking about something like that too. I was like, Dad, what do you want to do when you retire? He's like, I just want to travel around, maybe buy an RV, live out of that, and just go and check some places out.
So it's been a process. It's been a process because I never grew. I always thought an RV was, like a quote unquote trailer park or whatever. No offense to anybody on that, but I didn't understand like this RV world. And now that I'm like, we've been looking at them and they're incredible. And, it's all about downsizing. And I'm really like, we're both really excited about downsizing and releasing stuff. Right?
Like a luxury house on wheels. It can't be. Yeah, totally. And you don't need to pay for the hotel. You're working gas, you've got kitchens, you've got bathrooms, you've got beds. You're like, what is going on?
Everything. And we can be in the mountains or we can go to the ocean or we can go wherever we want to go. So I'm really excited. We're both very excited about it. In fact, it's really funny. My husband's like, okay, we have to start selling stuff. And I want to sell the couches. I'm like, honey, we're not going yet. Like we still need couches to sit on.
That's got to be,
selling everything, but
South American personalities quick to get up and want to do stuff, right?
Let's just go do it. So so we're working on that. That's kind of our future plans, and I'm calling it our adventure because it's going to be really fun. It's going to be just super cool. Just see where it takes us. So that's it. That was a big question.
It's exciting. So what can or where can we find, or the listeners find, the information on your event? Is there a link? What's going on with that?
There is. So the live event, which is really the best bang for your buck, let me put it that way, because that includes like everything at a huge discount. So the best is our live event happening in December. When you register for that event, you actually get access to this online certification program immediately. So you actually can start on that right away. The live event is www.monetizeyournutritionknowledge.com. I'll send it to you as well. Monetize, Monetize, your nutrition knowledge. That's what the name is, right? Monetize your nutrition knowledge. So if you're already certified, that's great. We teach you how to use this and how to implement it. If you're not certified, you'll get the certification. If you have any questions, you guys can access us through that site. That site has all of the information on it. It's got the schedules, shows our guest speaker. We have a celebrity guest speaker. We bring in other educational speakers. It's a ton of fun. It's a really cool, swanky hotel here in Vegas, which we love.
Which hotel is it going to be at?
It's
a secret. Uh-oh. You have to buy a ticket.
They get that when they register.
Cool. Okay.
But it's a really cool boutique hotel. And we love working with them. They've been phenomenal. And so we continue to stay there. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And if someone's just interested in looking at the certification, it's nutritioncertification.com. Pretty simple.
Yeah, no, perfect. They have all the information they need now, including a wealth of good stuff that you've talked about with nutrition.
So we love working with business owners. We love working with people. If you're just starting out, this is the best way to not like have to recreate the wheel and like just get in with, we've got 15 years. Well, between us, we have over almost 50 years of experience in the industry. So a lot of experience. We love working with everyone from, gym owners to studio owners to health coaches and sports coaches, fitness competitors, fitness professionals of all sorts, doctors, you name it.
Got the whole spectrum covered.
If you have anything in the health, fitness, or wellness industry, adding this nutrition piece can change your business.
Awesome. Listen, before we wrap up, I always have to ask my one always asked question. And I know I kind of gave you a heads up earlier today. I'm not sure you had much time to think about it, but what is your one message of inspiration for our listeners?
I love this question, by the way, because it's deep. First of all, I would say that you always have a choice. We always have a choice. Every decision we make helps us get farther down our path. And so when you're faced with a choice, you need to weigh it out. Does this benefit me now? Does this benefit me later? Or both? And then making the decision based upon that choice. The only other thing I would add is I am an avid reader, and I love to expand my thought processes, my thoughts and my ideas and my concepts. And the best way to do that is to read as much as possible, and to, nowadays we have podcasts and audible books and all of that. Whatever process works for you. I think it's always about expanding your knowledge, because that opens up your mind to what is possible. And that's what I encourage people to do, is always open your mind up to what is possible. I know today I talk a lot about nutrition, understanding that with that, understanding what is possible to live a life that is vibrant and like passionate and healthy, and, to be able to do the things that you want to do without being, tied down and restricted.
I love it. I love it. I think you had a lot of very amazing points today. So strong. High five. Kudos. Not only, like you just said, this is so fun because, hosting podcasts, you get to bring people onto the show and you get to learn. Like, not just are you engaging with them and interacting, interviewing, but you're also taking in such valuable information. And in every case, every interview that I've done, it's never ending. And to keep your mind in that place always, like you said just now, it keeps you open to the possibilities of life and the opportunities of life. There's some good stuff. And real quick, I think you asked me this, a week ago when we were talking. Maybe I was in our interview actually, but what's your favorite book? You just mentioned you're a big reader. I had to get you back for that one. What's your favorite before we get out?
So what you can't see is behind me on my bookshelves. They're filled with books. My desk is filled with books. It's really, I can't narrow it down to one book. However, because I'm always reading like 3 books at a time. I really am. I mean, seriously, like right here on my desk right now, Lewis Howes' School of Greatness. By the way, you guys, if you haven't read this.
One second.
You haven't? Woohoo! Lewis, he's a great guy. I knew Lewis when he was starting out.
You're kidding.
I'm actually working on getting him on my podcast. He's an amazing guy, and he's just like doing amazing things in the world right now. Another fantastic book called Profit First. If you guys are, if you own your own business, even if you don't, incredible. Michael Michalowicz, and I cannot spell it, but great book. And this is my third one, which is just my resource right now. It's called Ask by Ryan Levesque, which is really about understanding how to talk to your clients and your customers and ask them. Right. So these are just the 3 that are sitting right here. But I'm blanking out on the one that I wanted to mention. But, it's all about just expanding the mind and growing and learning.
I think that you just showed your personality at its purest form. You went over and beyond to show us extra resources, extra books that can help people get to that next step in their life. And, you're an awesome woman. And it was a pleasure to have you today. It was such an interesting conversation that we had. And I can't wait to go take control of my own diet more than I think I am.
Well, we could talk. I'm always available to answer questions. Right. We were introduced by a mutual friend, and I have to say, I'm really, it's been a pleasure getting to know you as well. You shared some brilliant golden nuggets on my podcast, so I can't wait to share that with my listening audience as well, or our listening audience. And again, this is, I know we'll be talking to each other quite a bit more, and we're neighbors, so we're gonna hook up and get together.
We're in the same city.
Get together.
I love it. Listen, I thank you so much. It's such a joy being here with you. I appreciate you for wanting to do this and for taking the time to share your insight, your knowledge. And I can't wait for this to help some people. You're truly making a difference in some really big areas of life that matter. And just keep up the good work. You're really a rock star in my book. That's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. And I feel likewise. So you're doing some great and very important work. Cool.
Kudos to you.
There we go.
See you on the
Awesome.
next one. Take care. Thanks, Lisa.